Hello and welcome. Today we have Michael Hudson, who is the CEO of Bitstock. Just before we begin, guys, I would like you to subscribe to my Telegram channel and also to nicholasveniamin.com. Now, I may put this all on YouTube. However, if I feel that there's obvious reasons why YouTube may take this down, then I would leave the link below for the full interview on YouTube. So, Michael, where do we begin, and how do you want to? Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Okay, so firstly, thank you for having me on.
No, thank you. Thank you.
I'm really excited about this because I'm typically a very uncensored guy, most certainly a truth speaker. But if you want to navigate a world of business, as well as being a true speaker, there's got to be certain levels and layers to what you say and how you say it and where you say it. So thank you, firstly, for providing a safe platform. Right, so a little bit about me. I started my life as an entrepreneur, just out of circumstance, not privileged. Pretty unstable upbringing. My dad wasn't the most ideal example, I guess, of how to go out there, get a job, etc. He was a drug dealer, a very unsuccessful drug dealer, because ultimately got caught. We didn't really have money growing up, and that relationship with not having money growing up saw some behavior in my household, such as domestic abuse, domestic violence, that I saw a direct correlation with lack of money in the household and when there was money in the household. So as a young kid, I had already a curiosity around the subject matter of money. So when it then came to, okay, things I was interested, passion-wise, it was always technology. So I spent most of my time putting my focus towards technology. So back, I'm talking 12 years old, which is ironically the last time I took any form of value or money, so school dinner money from my parents. And it really kickstarted my entrepreneurial journey as a 12-year-old kid. So I'll be going down to Blockbusters, hiring games, downloading them onto my computer, ripping them with CDs, and basically selling them to kids at schools, making 50 quid a week, basically selling video games, PlayStation games, etc. I know it's naughty, to the kids at school. But technology was really my thing. That passion then led towards me being 16 years old, starting my first business in computers, in IT. But I had quite an affinity for breaking things. It was always a trait of mine. I wanted to understand how things work. Now, the reason why this is relevant and this is important, especially for your audience to get a further grasp on me and where I come from, is there's a very interesting individual that I met around the age of 17 years old that just so happened was all over national news. It was around the time Barack Obama was inaugurated, and the largest military hack in human history was orchestrated around that time by an individual called Gary McKinnon. So Gary McKinnon, individual from the UK, Asperger's syndrome, he hacked NASA from silly, his own home, but he actually bought his computer equipment from a store that you may know, actually, because I know you grew up around the area. So a store in North London, which was my uncle's computer store. And I used to be the Saturday boy there. So I had an opportunity, because at the time I was interested in hacking myself. I was playing around with a few things, nothing of that magnitude by any degree. But I had the opportunity to pull effectively Gary McKinnon to the side and ask some interesting questions. And from that point onwards, it changed the trajectory of my life moving forward, and very much now is why I'm doing what I'm doing today. I'm building a company called Bitstocks, which started in 2014. Started off as a Bitcoin investment service, but now we are building effectively a banking ecosystem on top of Bitcoin in order to rectify some of the biggest issues in finance, which is transparency. So I guess you can pluck and dig into that however you want in order to unpack it. But yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Interesting. You see, a lot of the viewers, when they hear Bitcoin, they see it as, bad news, because here in the truth movement, Bitcoin has a reputation of a deep state currency that's been used for money laundering and child trafficking. So I remember having a conversation with you about this, and you completely agree. Well, what's your views on that, if you'd like to tell the audience?
So I know we're quite limited on time, and there's quite a lot that we're going to have to go through. So I'm just cut straight really to it. Bitcoin, in my opinion, is a psyop. So the whole cryptocurrency industry as a whole, I would actually identify as being a psyop. Now, the true promise and premise of this technology as to what attracted it to me in the first place is the true innovation of Bitcoin isn't this whole cryptocurrency malarkey BS that people are touting. In fact, it's not even a cryptocurrency. What Bitcoin is it took the oldest piece of technology, a piece of paper, and it digitized it and it made it public, which is the true innovation of Bitcoin, by taking a piece of paper, digitizing it and making it public. Why is that important? Because if I write a line in between this paper and I put inputs here and I put outputs there, credits, and I put debits, that is a ledger, right? I give this ledger to a CEO of a bank, and he has the ability to balance his books, or she has the ability to balance her books. Based on the inputs and the outputs, decides if you can feed your family at the end of the month or the end of the quarter, right? Also, it empowers that CEO to rearrange the inputs and the outputs, because they know that the only time that this is validated and it has a witness is on quarterly reports or annual reports, right? When they're audited. So that's how fraud seeps in with the time lag. But ultimately, Bitcoin took this and it made the world the witness, because in order for a contract to be legally and lawfully binding, you need to have a witness. So if you and I formed a property deal, there'll be a witness privy to us signing the contract, because if there's ever a dispute, an individual brought to stand, an adjudication process could take place, right? What Bitcoin done by making this public, which is why I say it's the innovation, is that it makes the whole world the witness immediately, because we can all view it on this public ledger that we call a blockchain. Right? So then the thing is, okay, if this is a ledger, how do I write to it? In order for this to be useful, you need a pen, right? So the tokens are the pen. So in Bitcoin's case, there's 21 million tokens, which is why they have rarity. But ultimately, that is just the pen that allows you to write to this piece of paper. So here's the fallacy. I don't care if this is a $50,000 shiny Cartier diamond encrusted pen, which is what Bitcoin is today. BTC is a $50,000 shiny Cartier diamond encrusted pen. It doesn't matter how beautiful and attractive that pen may be or how impressive it may be to own it, right? If it hasn't got ink within that pen, it's useless to this piece of paper. So in Bitcoin's case, I can only do 3 to 4 transactions per second, meaning if I was an artist, I could only strike this piece of paper 3 to 4 times per second. Also, each time I strike it, because there's a limitation of how many times you can use it, and when you do use it, there's a fee to pay, because everyone wants the ability to try and use it. So it costs me $10 with every strike. So if I say to you, Nicholas, okay, you're an artist, can you draw me a Mona Lisa? I give you the $50,000 Cartier pen that everyone's bragging about right now. Mm-hmm. And I say to you, can you draw me the Mona Lisa? Not only can you not do it because you can't get enough detail on the piece of paper, it will cost you a fortune in fees to even try and get any degree of detail. So the real question is this really what Bitcoin is meant to be, right? Well, the ledger and the pen, absolutely. The ink being clogged up is where ultimately, and I can speak openly on this, the deep state, the bad actors deliberately clogged up the ink to prevent the world from anyone being able to pick up a pen and give the world a Mona Lisa. Because that means a bank, and more importantly, government voting systems will have no reason not to use this ledger, because it's so reliably cheap and infinitely cheap that all of our data will be here. What this is to the world is a mirror. It says to the world, you can be bad, but if you're bad, the world will see you. This incentivizes good behavior because the world can see your reflection. So they did not want the world to understand the true nature of this technology. So there has fortunately, however, been a group effectively of light workers, freedom fighters, who fortunately, the founder, Satoshi Nakamoto himself, is part of that group and leads that group, who have kept the true promise of what this technology will bring to the world alive. And we're bringing that stuff to market. So there's a lot of stuff that we can unpack and talk about there.
So
they're right. Basically, their intuition is correct. Bitcoin has been utilized, and 98+% of the space has been utilized predominantly for all the things that I personally as an individual fundamentally stand against. But I'm not going to allow that to blind the world really of the true promise and beauty of this technology, because we need it. And we can get into that.
So you're basically saying that the technology has been abused, but if it wasn't abused, it's open to greatness if used correctly.
Absolutely. So I can even unpack some of the actors. So some of the most influential people in this space that's navigated how Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency space has evolved have come out of a group called Digital Currency Group. Okay. Now, Digital Currency Group fund the Bitcoin core development team. The Bitcoin core development team are the ones who have the ability to change the protocol. They're the ones who said blocks have to be 1 megabyte in size. And I'm going to explain this in non-geeky terms, okay? Now, Bitcoin is ultimately a space memory model. It simulates nature, how we work. Space memory model. This is what I mean by that. If you don't remember yesterday, you have no idea who Nicholas is today. In order for you to understand who Nicholas would be today in that circumstance, you have to rely on third-party information. Friends, family, people around you, to rebuild who you are. In that vulnerability allows bad agendas to seep in because you have no memory of who you was prior. What this tech is, and what Bitcoin does, is it's planetary memory. So what you want to be able to do is record as many interactions as possible to remember as many things as possible. So if you could only remember 1 megabyte chunks worth of movement within a 10-minute window, that's only 350,000 transactions per day, right? We have 7 billion people on the planet. It is not possible for this system ever to cater for 7+ billion people on the planet. Elon Musk knows how to do mathematics. 2 + 2 is not Jello pudding, but the whole space is telling us 2 + 2 is Jello pudding because Bitcoin is $50,000, right? What Bitcoin really is, and this still lives today in a project called Bitcoin SV, which is a true version of Bitcoin as per the original white paper at the beginning by the founder and the vision of the founder, is you can have unlimited amount of data interactions or transactions or movements within that 10-minute window. So you have no reason not to put everything on there. No reason not to put everything on there. So the big question is, I know you had an interview, for instance, with Charlie Ward earlier talking about the QFS system and all these other things, okay? The awakening moment I genuinely believe is coming. And everything that I am building is part of this movement, right? I'm a very practical solution individual. Okay? So my question is, in a practical sense, once we achieve light, which I believe is coming, how do we ensure the shadows never return? How do you ensure humanity stays honest? We need systems. Technology is the liberator of man, if used correctly. And this mirror, this technology, if implemented, and this is what they've been terrified about the world knowing, means that you can't have a recollection of what happened with the Trump-Biden election situation, because the ability to vote will be as easy as voting on your phone. I could do $1 billion transaction on my smartphone, I can't vote, right? All logged on a database that everyone is using as one source of truth. And they've created all of these reasons to say it can't happen. Bitcoin can't scale, this can't scale, that can't scale, it can't happen. In fact, they've been so desperate for it not to happen that they've used Wall Street, right, and the hedge funds to make this market worth over $1 trillion. They've got big names pumping technology that they know 2 + 2 is not Jello pudding. It can't work. But yet the smartest apparent minds are pumping this technology. What the is going on?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I assure you, it's to keep everyone away from what the true delivery of what this can do, which is it will forever keep the shadows away. Forever keep the freaking shadows away. So it's a huge psyop, but do not let it detract you away from what the true light workers are doing. And we're going to deliver with experience, not just words.
Right, excellent. Wow. So let's talk about more about Bitstock and what you do.
Yeah, sure. So Bitstocks originally was founded in April 2014 as an investment consultancy and advisory firm, the first of its kind, to be honest, where we just focus on educating private retail individuals, allowing them to be armchair investors while we educate them on what this technology is, what it can do, how it can help liberate humanity, and also how you can make an absolute fortune should this technology catch on. And so it was really quite early to the party, but it was about 2 years in where I myself had an epiphany moment and I realized what was truly going on in this space, how the technology was diverging and these actors were coming in and taking over. And I realized the only thing that's going to matter, I can speak truth at event after event after event, which I do quite frequently, obviously pre-pandemic world. I can speak from the rooftops. The only thing that matters is true experience. So what can I build in order to show the world that this technology works and actually deliver a piece of technology that humanity genuinely needs? So that became the brainchild of Gravity. And what Gravity is right now is the best place in UK and Europe to buy and sell Bitcoin, and also the real version of Bitcoin, which is Bitcoin SV, which is what I'm talking about in any positive light, is Bitcoin SV. But that's just the start of our mission. I'll just putting the finishing touches to our white paper on and be going through the patenting process is our technology that will allow a financial institution such as a bank to validate their solvency live immediately. So for instance, how that would look is, let's say you're using Monzo. So it's just like a Monzo-like experience, personal account experience. You've got your debit card, etc. Okay, but instead of trusting Monzo, Barclays, etc., has say £10,000 of your money or $10,000 of your money, you can actually click a button and verify that the bank's good for it. Right. Mm-hmm. So you no longer need to trust; you can verify. So us doing this, which is the first of its kind and innovation that we've created, is actually a challenge and throwing a gauntlet out there and saying this is possible. And now actually for the first time ever, providing consumers a choice, right? You can vote with your feet now and actually challenge your institution to do the same, right? Now that we've proven transparency exists, why won't you use it? So that's what our mission is. That's what we're doing. We're also very hot on the heels on all things that are very current. So esports, as well as NFTs. The whole concept of what the conversation of money is fundamentally changing. And we see Bitcoin playing a huge role in that. But for us, it's all about user experience and it being just as seamless as to what you're traditionally used to. So that's why I use Monzo or Revolut as an example to what you can expect to experience. And we have our mobile app coming out in a couple of months as well. So
right. So how do you actually function Bitstock? How can you buy things with it? How can you sell things with it? What are the benefits if people wanted to, get involved and benefit from it?
So right now it is literally just the best place to buy and sell Bitcoin and Bitcoin SV in UK and Europe. So you could just buy, invest, speculate on the price of the asset. You could do that in a safe place. We have a 7-year track record of having 0 breaches at Bitstocks. So very proven, robust solvency technology. And with us, it's how we're evolving. So right now, it's just the best place to do what we've basically already experienced for the last 12 years. So it's not really that exciting, but it's the best place to do it. What we're building and how we're evolving is where things are interesting. So how are we using the technology, not just to allow you to get price exposure, because there's loads of places to do that. How are we using the ledger to provide you a different service that you can't get anywhere else? Such as, if I have my money and my wealth with you, can I be assure that you really have it and that you're utilizing it in a way it is that you've described that you're going to utilize it, right? So that's the services that we're going to be bringing out towards the end of the year, as well as some really other interesting things such as NFTs, which is a huge thing about data ownership, and data rights. So there's a lot of products coming out with Gravity that just allows people to just really create value themselves. We just want to be a tool to allow people to create ultimately value themselves.
So what's the difference between Bitstock and Bitcoin?
So Bitcoin is the underlying protocol, the technology that was created by Satoshi Nakamoto in 2009 with the white paper. And Bitstocks is a company that now builds on top of the ledger, on top of the technology, and provides a service to users that hopefully is in line with what people are traditionally used to, instead of the nerdy crypto stuff that people have been kind of having to get around in order to interact with this space.
So Bitstock is a cryptocurrency that you own. Is that correct? Can you hear me? Have I cut out?
No, Bitstocks is the company. No, you cut out there.
Sure, there's a slight delay, but it doesn't matter. Go for it.
You back?
Yeah, I'm back.
You're back now. You're back.
Yeah.
So you got Bitcoin. I'll do it again. I'll say it again. So you got Bitcoin, which is the protocol. Bitcoin is a protocol invented by Satoshi Nakamoto, the founder and inventor of Bitcoin back in 2009. And Bitstocks is a company I founded in 2014, and we are a service-based company. So we're not a coin, we're not a protocol, we're a service-based company that's going to deliver a Monzo-like experience through Gravity.
Right. So basically you offer, you have accounts, you offer account services. Yeah.
So the ability to buy and sell Bitcoin, and towards the end of the year, we're heading towards personal account experiences. So debit cards, personal account experiences, all around transparent technology. And
you did all this by yourself?
My team, I am merely one man. My team is everything. So we've spent the last 6 years, 7 if you include the stuff before we incorporated, building an amazing team. And I say that because our mission is very out there, and it's very out there internally within the company as to just how important this is, how humanity-driven this is. And for us, and also considering the amount of money that we manage for people and have under our management, having pure light warriors, it takes time to then also have them to sharpen their teeth enough to want to go to war against everything that's going on right now, to stay unified in the challenges that we've experienced has been quite easy for us as a company, as an example. So we're a great team, an amazing team.
Right. Well, considering what you've told me in the beginning of the interview, that you've had the hard upbringing and we hear many stories like this where, there's been, domestic problems at home and look, you've done fantastic for yourself, and that's an achievement. You should be proud. So is there anything else? Sorry, cut out there. There's a delay. Hello? Yeah?
Yeah, I guess we could go to wherever it is. I guess we could go to wherever it is that you like. I mean, how it applies, I guess, to the overall landscape of what's going on in the world, because everything that we're doing and everything that I am doing is very coordinated. So testament of that as well, September 2018 on our Bitstocks YouTube channel. So that's BITSTOCKS media. So Bitstocks media YouTube channel. September 2018, I put out a video called The Awakening. So I really spoke a lot on the Q movement. I spoke a lot on Trump. I actually even said that if this goes ahead, Trump will go down as one of the greatest presidents in US history. I'm trying to prepare not just my company, but my community, that we have a responsibility. And only so many people took up that call, but most certainly everyone in the company very much did. And these are the things that for us have been things that we've watched very closely. For instance, as it stands right now, a Biden presidency increases the risk of our experiment not succeeding, literally just due to the landscape. If it continued that way, the landscape of trying to push through a technology as revolutionary as this, as light-bearing as this, increases in risk. So the geopolitical climate for those who are really building tools and technology that are going to bring genuine benefits to humanity, I think we'll be naive not to be sensitive to everything that's going on right now. So, however, very, very optimistic about the unseen, the aspects that people aren't necessarily factored in. But for us and myself, most importantly, and I consider myself a very spiritual individual, I'm very integrated into that spiritual community as well. Don't know if you're aware of the scientist Nassim Haramein, but Nassim Haramein, a very good personal friend of mine. And there are things in that world that I'm keeping abreast with, such as energy, free energy technology, and really keeping in tune with physicists and the work of really people who are picking up the torch after, I guess, Nikola Tesla, Buckminster Fuller. There's people out there doing amazing work, and we're all ultimately waiting for the same thing: the break in the clouds that allows the sun to come through, that allows the technology that we know we're working on, and just waiting on the perfect time and opportunity to release without taking maximum risk, and always assessing and balancing risk. But I assure you, there's people out there building amazing things that once presented, the world's different. The subject matter of being human becomes very different. And this is where I can't say and emphasize enough just how much of an important role Bitcoin has in that journey. If I want to really rip off the Band-Aid with this, I think, in fact, a question maybe I can ask you to get a sense of maybe what your audience would like to hear about or go into, which is, at the highest, I guess, perspective, what do you feel is really going on the planet right now?
Well, the listeners are very, aware of the deep state, the human trafficking. They, so what they know as what's happened, and then I will explain to you what they know and what we know today. They're aware of the, human trafficking, the suppression of human abilities through, education, indoctrination, and food, what they put in our waters, lies, deception, taking away family values. And then we have today, which is a spiritual war. And then now it's a spiritual war. But then today, ultimately, we believe the good guys are in charge. The evil is being eradicated. And hopefully, the good guys would win. We believe there's a military sting operation happening right now. But there is a lot of information. There's a war of information going on right now. But I do believe that the good guys are in charge because there are so many anomalies that cannot be ignored. So yeah, it's a spiritual war. Fundamentally, we believe that it's a spiritual. So it's between good and evil. Yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, no, 100%. That I 100% agree with. It definitely, most certainly, is a spiritual war. And I really hope people take that relationship between good and evil and it being a spiritual war personally, right? I think upon reflection of the Q movement, truth movement, and this is something that I've been following. This is why I said it's quite important to start with my history, with really kicked off in this world with Gary McKinnon. I was 17 years old, I'm 33 years old now. And it started with Gary McKinnon effectively telling me what he saw on NASA's servers, right? The pre and post Photoshop images of the moon, broken domes, obelisks. My biggest question wasn't, oh, I can't believe that this is true. There's aliens, there's extraterrestrials, and we're traveling. My biggest question was, how are we paying for this? And why is no one unaware? Why are they keeping it secret? Then I started to study the work of Jordan Maxwell, right? Became a huge student of Jordan Maxwell, the likes of David Wilcock, Kerry Cassidy back in the original Project Camelot days when it really kicked off. That's like kind of kicked off around the same time as YouTube was really kicking off. I was really consuming a lot of this information. And then I just came across a very profound thought and a very profound question, which was, if we are all human beings who all co-inhabit this planet called Earth, why are we paying to live on a planet in which we inhabit? And if we are paying, who are we paying? And I couldn't shake not getting an answer to that question. I literally could not shake not getting an answer to that question. And that then made me consider money differently. And the reason why this is important off the back of talking about being spiritual is because I feel this is one angle and one aspect in the spiritual community that's massively misunderstood and massively undervalued. I understand it is important to live in the present. It's important to live in joy. It's important to have your relationship with God, with the Creator, but also an intimate one and a very understanding one of your role in that, your power in that, right? But money is energy. And energy can only be measured in one way, which is time. Time is the ultimate order. It brings order to chaos. And this goes back to how I also made reference to Bitcoin in space memory, right? So space-time, space memory really, but space-time, as is more commonly referred to, are two sides to the same coin, because time is merely the movement of matter in space. In order to record a movement, you have to have a beginning and you have to have a destination. A Lamborghini, 0 to 60, 3 seconds, right? So you get to 0 to 60 miles per hour in 3 seconds. That's how we measure a distance, right? Time is the order in everything and a regulator of everything. Someone has a salary of £100,000 per year or £30,000 per year. What's my equation? What is the skill set of this individual that justifies why I'm paying you more? The skill set of this individual means that you can chew through more tasks. I can get more things done in what? A shorter amount of time. I have someone who's less skilled, but I need more of them in order to get the same amount of work done for roughly the same amount of time. Right? Time is the order in all chaos. So if the world is under the illusion that money is something else, if the world is under the illusion that they do not understand that when a bank mints money, puts an interest on money, and then has the ability to continuously mint more money, and then you go to the supermarket every year and accept bread and eggs is more expensive without understanding what inflation really is, that is the grim reaper of time, that is creeping into your bedroom while you sleep and plucking value out of your life, period. So the reason why it is important to be sovereign is because you stop the wheel of time as much as you can in this lifetime, in the system that we operate in. And if you stop the wheel because you are now a commander and you have enough energy, right, that you can buy and you can purchase time, then you can afford to be still. Mm-hmm. If you're still, you can ask profound questions, such as, we're human beings, we all live on this planet, we all co-inhabit this planet, why are we paying to live on a planet in which we inhabit, right? So what have these people found out that has made them orchestrate this sophisticated system of time manipulation to keep us on a hamster wheel and confused? To prevent us from what? Memory. Remember what I said about, if you do not know who you was yesterday, who is reconstructing who you are today? Mm-hmm. So these people at the very top who believe they have a divine connection, a dark divine connection, right? A Satanist belief, etc., etc. Ultimately, every human being on this planet is on their journey of self-mastery, whether they know it or not. Right? We have a role within ourselves to, yes, understand in the greater good, but I don't like coining it as divine, say, intervention. Right? I think it's divine response, reaction, because we are all individually raising our vibrations and we are taking action ourselves, right? So, and this is why, like, I think it's important to speak on this, because I think the way that the whole, I guess, Q movement built up and then phased down has left a lot of people feeling powerless, right? And I really genuinely believe that we are in this period and this moment where we all genuinely do need to like look in the mirror and understand and say that what is our role. So everything that I've been trying to do and I've been trying to focus on is genuinely build tools for this moment. So I knew humanity was going to have this moment. So what are the tools that people are going to need that allow them to make sovereign decisions? How do we decouple away from this corrupt banking system that is the grim reaper of time? And whatever system it is that we implement, gold-backed, QFS, whatever it is that we're talking about, and all these acronyms, ultimately, it needs to enable human beings around the world to have a more harmonious relationship with time, instead of what we're doing right now, which is wealthy guy gets wealthy, I move to Monaco, or I move to Dubai. Why? Because I have the same amount of time input, labor, and I get more energy because there's less taxes. Why can't human beings just have a better way of measuring time? Mm-hmm. That's what Bitcoin can do. And what Bitcoin is the keeper of time. It is a time ledger, because every interaction has a beginning, it has an end, and it's measured in time. And that is the most terrifying thing to the people who have tried so long to keep humanity in a state of amnesia, in the greatest sense of the way. Like, if this is a legit spiritual war, the way that we win this is by remembering. The way they win is keeping us in a state of amnesia. And that's what all the confusion and all of this stuff's about, which is plaguing itself in the cryptocurrency space. But yeah, that's
okay.
How it all ties in.
Wow. Okay. Well, listen, Michael, thank you so much for all of that. Is there anything else that you want to say to the listeners? And anything else that you feel like
I just hope that my passion doesn't come across as aggression. If anything, it's more a plea of help of my team and those around us. We have a good community, very like strong but small community around us, which is growing. We just done a crowdfund. We shut out the gates this year. We've done a crowdfund aiming for $500,000. We raised 1.1, which is 220+% above target, which is amazing, which really shows people resonate with our mission and they really do want to see change in finance. But ultimately, just support us, follow us. Myself, Instagram is BTC Hudson. The company's one is at Bitstocks. Follow me at Twitter at BTC Hudson. And the company, go check us out at bitstocks.com/gravity. And just spread the word, just share. And if it resonates, however, that's the most important thing. Really digest our content, really see if the truth and actions match up. And if it resonates, support us, spread, share the word, because me and my team are getting ready to walk into the belly of the beast and switch the lights on. So we need as much as the people behind us as possible, brother.
Michael, listen, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on my show and explaining that as well. And what you do is fantastic. If you send me all your links, I will leave them in the description below the video so that people can have access to it and check you out. But thank you very, very much. And we'll speak again very soon.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the opportunity.
Take care. You too. Bye-bye. Bye.